The old woman sat on the bench and watched the world go by. She was dressed in shabby clothes, and her face was lined with age. She looked lonely and tired. A young woman sat down beside her. "Hello," she said. "My name is Sirhan. What's yours?" The old woman looked up at her. "My name is Mary," she said. "Nice to meet you, Sirhan." Sirhan smiled. "Nice to meet you too, Mary. What brings you here today?" Mary sighed. "I just like to come out here and watch the people," she said. "It's a good place to think." Sirhan nodded. "I understand," she said. "I like to come here and clear my head sometimes, too." They sat in silence for a few moments. Then Sirhan turned to Mary and said, "Do you want to talk about it?" Mary hesitated for a moment. Then she began to speak. She told Sirhan about her life, about her husband and children, and how she had lost everything when her husband died. She told her how she was struggling to make ends meet and how she was afraid for the future. Sirhan listened patiently. She didn't offer advice or solutions. She just listened. When Mary finished, Sirhan smiled at her. "Thank you for sharing your story with me," she said. "It was brave of you." Mary nodded. "Thanks for listening," she said. "It means a lot." They sat in silence for a few more moments. Then Sirhan stood up. "Well, I should get going," she said. "But it was nice meeting you, Mary. I hope you're doing well." Mary smiled. "I'm fine," she said. "Thank you for asking." Sirhan walked away, but she couldn't stop thinking about Mary. She realized that she had been so caught up in her own life that she hadn't taken the time to really see the people around her. She hadn't taken the time to listen to their stories. Sirhan decided to change. She would pay more attention to the people around her, her parents, siblings, friends, and coworkers. She would listen to their stories and develop empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share another person's feelings. It is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and see the world from their perspective. Empathy is an important skill to have. It allows us to connect with others on a deeper level. It allows us to form stronger relationships. And it allows us to make the world a better place. The next time you see someone who looks down or lonely, take a moment to say hello. Take a moment to listen to their story. Take a moment to develop empathy. You might just make a difference in their life. What is the difference between empathy and sympathy? Sympathy is feeling sorry for someone who is going through a difficult time. It is a feeling of compassion and concern for another person's suffering. Empathy, on the other hand, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It is putting yourself in someone else's shoes and seeing the world from their perspective. Sympathy is often a quick and easy emotion to feel. We can see someone who is crying or sad and feel sorry for them. Empathy, on the other hand, requires more effort. It requires us to take the time to learn about the other person's situation and to try to see things from their point of view. Here is an example of how empathy and sympathy might play out in a real-life situation. Imagine that your friend is going through a divorce. You might feel sympathy for them, because you know that they are going through a difficult time. You might say something like, "I'm so sorry to hear about your divorce." However, if you really want to be supportive of your friend, you need to try to understand what they are going through on an emotional level. You need to be empathetic. You can do this by asking them open-ended questions about their feelings and by listening to their answers without judgment. You can also offer to help them in practical ways, such as helping them to move or taking care of their children. By being empathetic, you can help your friend to feel less alone and more supported. You can also help them to process their emotions and to move on from their divorce.
单字片语 Watch the world go by, 看着人来人往 To look at people as they go past. Shabby, 破烂的，破旧的 Adjective Looking old and in bad condition because of being used for a long time or not being cared for. Nod, 点头，点头赞同 Verb To move your head down and then up, sometimes several times, especially to show agreement, approval, or greeting, or to show something by doing this. Hesitate, 犹豫，踌躇 Verb To pause before you do or say something, often because you are uncertain or nervous about it. Make ends meet, 使收支相抵，勉强维持生计 To have just enough money to pay for the things that you need. Caught up in something, 陷入某事，专注于某事，忙于某事 Idiom So involved in an activity that you do not notice other things. Put yourself in somebody's shoes, 处在某人的角度考虑 To imagine how someone else feels in a difficult situation. Empathy, 同理心，同感，共鸣 Noun The ability to share someone else's feelings or experiences by imagining what it would be like to be in that person's situation. Sympathy, 同情，同情心 Noun An expression of understanding and care for someone else's suffering.